Okay, folks. So I'm experimenting with different ways and means of addressing some of the Killpeak Discord Q&A questions, and just bear in mind, folks, that I'm in service to you as the audience in doing this. Okay, I don't have any sort of political leanings or political stance, and I certainly don't care to spout off my horseshit opinions on the internet. But if one of my viewers, who I like and respect, asks me a question, I feel very happy to answer it. If it's an interesting one, I feel happy to give it appropriate amount of time. And this question comes from Oxblood. What do you think about Robert Reich's hypothesis about the broken social promise for the next generations? And what do you think we can do to combat both the loss of social mobility and combat the growing, angry, easily manipulated populace? And he links me a video, and we're gonna react to this video in real time.
Becoming a two-tiered society, composed of a few winners and a larger group of Americans left behind, whose anger and whose disillusionment is easily manipulated.
Rising inequality would fuel populist rage.
Worried not
Interesting.
only about sustaining their incomes, but also about keeping their jobs and their health insurance. On a recent national poll, 55% of American adults said they no longer believe that you can build a better life for yourself and your family by working hard and playing by the rules. In the years after World War II,
I've lived that story.
America built the biggest middle class in world history on the foundation of that bargain.
No.
We turned our hard work into homes.
No, they built it on the conquering empire, like every other conquering empire before them.
And cars, and health care, and pensions, and the middle class grew and prospered and enriched further as the barriers to race and class and gender slowly began to fall, just began to fall.
Absolutely.
Poverty reached an historic low.
Absolutely.
And the sense of possibility, that wonderful sense of possibility, grew stronger. But then something happened.
Yeah, rich people continued to
Around
rob
15
you.
years ago, this American dream began to fade.
Oh, very interesting.
And as it faded.
So I was born in 83, and I feel like I got to live through the end of this real market, one in which the economy benefited the middle class, so to speak. I started my first real company in 2003. And for the first decade I noticed that the economy made sense and the deals that I was being offered made sense. And then I noticed the structures around me, the legal structures, the governmental structures, the bullshit around employment, the bullshit around everything. We are incredibly heavily taxed in Canada. I don't know how many people understand the difference between Canada and the United States, but I'm under no illusion that where the grace of the global hegemonic empire go, so go we. So I'm not under any illusion that we are distinct or separate from the massive empire to the south, but we are very, very heavily taxed. And as a small business person who didn't start with any seed capital, I just worked. Right? I worked so hard, I put a curve into my spine, and I was able to grow my business, up to a certain point. But at every step of growth, I noticed that there were parasitic structures in existence to try and make sure that they got their piece.
Middle-class families tried every means they had of holding on. Spouses went to work. When did you find that great increase in women in the workforce? In the late 1970s, in the late 1980s. Both parents worked longer hours, or they
that's true. Even when I was a kid, my mother not working and raising me and my sisters was already anachronistic. So I lived in sort of a quintessential nuclear family, the ideal, in air quotes, nuclear family, right? And mom and dad, dad worked. My father was a high school teacher. My mom worked part-time jobs later on in her life, but she was very much a homemaker, again in air quotes. when me and my sisters were younger.
Decided to have fewer kids. Middle class, actually, the number of kids in an average middle class family has actually declined.
Yeah, I had twin sisters.
Middle class families.
It was not 3 by choice.
Notwithstanding these coping mechanisms, middle class families have
And 2 children is below replacement demographically.
Their footing. They push these coping mechanisms about as far as they can go, and they still feel that they are losing the American dream. My friends, we are on the way to becoming a two-tiered society.
On the way, yeah.
Composed of a few winners.
We have long become.
And a larger group of Americans
much larger
left behind.
Yes.
Whose anger and whose disillusionment is easily manipulated.
Okay. If you'd like to watch the rest of the clip, I will link it. We've got about 2.5 minutes in. What do I think about Robert Reich's hypothesis that the broken social promise for the next generations? What do you think we can do to combat both the laws of social mobility and to combat the growing, angry, and easily manipulated populace? Simply put, Oxblood, I think that executive leadership-based decision-making in a world as complicated as ours in 2023 for corporations and nations is suicidally insane. We must invent and develop and continue to update and improve a system of distributed decision-making. The best one I can come up with as a layperson who is not very smart is some form of distributed decision-making that allows us to leverage the fact that we have a device in our pockets that has not only the compendium of all human knowledge at our fingertips, but the ability to communicate with each other. The single greatest task facing humanity is the fact that we are going to progress to something, but we do not agree on what the definition of that progress is. And until we do, we are going to spin our wheels, and we are going to create very ridiculously, utterly wealthy people who can shit on golden toilets while the rest of the people fight for scraps. The broken social promise at this point, Oxblood, is a lie. I was told I was free to choose when I was 11, right? I'm free to choose between 2 options. The business party that's blue and the business party that's red. Those don't seem like options that I want to choose. People need a decent minimum standard of living in order for any semblance of this social promise to exist on any level. I'm sick of being lied to, and I'm sure you are too. The only political issue of relevance is electoral reform. Until we can change the structure of how we are governed, we will continue to be robbed blind by rich people. That's what I think. And if you would like to speak about this in an intelligent way, in a long-form way, I have constructed philosophy forums on my Discord to have that conversation. Obviously, angry comments on YouTube will not be the way to get an intelligent conversation heard. And as I would like to repeat, I am not preaching. I am in service answering a question. I hope I did an interesting job of it. And criticism for the structure of how I've answered this is also very welcome, because I'm extremely interested in having intelligent conversations on the internet and learning how to speak wisely myself. So thank you for the question. I appreciate you. I love you. And for all of you on the path to world domination, good games and good luck.